and Gabriel will be in his early 20s, and if we have other children, they will most likely be. People always say I'm crazy when I talk about this, and they don't. Hello my sweet friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Victoria and this is Time and Tenderness. Well, it has been a while since I have done a homemaking Q&A video, and I decided, hey, since it's been so long, let's go ahead and do one today. So about a day or so ago, I asked over on Instagram for people to send me over some questions, so I have some. Not a lot of questions, but these questions that were sent in were very good questions. Now, a few of you sent in some anonymous questions, so let me go ahead and look at that. And the number one question that were sent over anonymously, I'll just jump right into it. The number one question that many people sent over anonymously is, Victoria, when are you and your husband going to have a second baby? Now, I'm not offended at all by that question. I actually really enjoy that question because it is something that has been on my mind lately. I kind of have a little bit of baby fever, but if you guys are a long-time subscriber here on my YouTube channel, because my YouTube channel is the only place I have ever talked about it, we are in the process of moving, are in the process of building a new house, and I do not want to be pregnant and moving and trying to get into a new house at that time, or when it happens, which it should be happening in a couple months. So once we move, then my husband and I will be in discussions about when the time would be right to add another little family member to our family. Okay, so hot off the tails of that question is, somebody sent me anonymously. It is, have you ever dealt with the feeling of not being a good enough of a mother because you only have one child? I have one because of some fertility struggles, and I feel such an imposter in the traditional homemaking community. And to that I say, I am so sorry you're feeling those feelings. Those feelings are not fun at all. So no, I personally have never felt those feelings specifically around only having one child. I have felt feelings of, am I a good, like questioning myself as to whether or not I'm a good enough mom. And I think if you're questioning yourself whether you feel like you're good enough, that is a good indicator that you are a great mother. I know sometimes because we are so imperfect that we tend to compare ourselves to other people. We really shouldn't do that. It's not fair to us, and it's not fair to our own emotions if we are constantly comparing ourselves to others. Fertility struggles are very deeply intimate, and I have not personally ever struggled with them, but I have friends that do, and that is a huge burden to bear. I would definitely suggest praying about it more, meditating about it, whatever you do, as well as trying to focus on the word contentment and try to either meditate on that or study about contentment and about other people who might be in or have been in that same situation as you, and trying to see where they found happiness and see if you can also find those little grains of happiness in your life as well, so that you can foster those feelings of contentment and not focus too much on what other people are doing and focus on what you have at that very moment. Now, if you are a religious person at all who reads the Bible, I think of the Bible example of Hannah. Hannah was the mother of Samuel in the Bible, and she, for a very, very long time, she was barren and she had fertility issues, and her story is very beautiful in the Bible. If you want to just read about her and just meditate about her and try to put yourself in her shoes and think about all the feelings that she might have felt, as well as how her husband treated her, because her husband treated her very kindly given her situation, and just, you know, that example might help you out a lot. Okay, so next question is, how are you feeling balancing motherhood and homemaking now that it's been a few years? I would like to say that I have my act together, but I absolutely do not. Some days I am very on top of my routine and my schedule, and everything is going perfectly. Like today I feel like is a perfect day. The weather is beautiful out, the sun is shining. I got out of bed early at 6:30 in the morning, had breakfast, like it went so smoothly all the way up until Gabriel's nap time. He's down for his nap now. I'm able to film a video, but all of that could change because he could wake up in a mood from his nap. So when it comes to balancing, it doesn't mean that you have it all together. It just means you're able to ebb and flow like a balance, like on a balance beam. You're able to lean to one side a little bit more or lean to the other side a little bit more. It's just go with the ebb and flow. I do definitely have hard days. I don't like to call them bad days. I like to call them hard days. And those hard days, I try not to focus on them. I try not to dwell on them too much or give them too much weight or merit, because overall, when it comes to motherhood and homemaking and being home with my son, there are many more good days than there are hard days. And if I find myself dwelling on the hard days or dreading a possible hard day coming, you can just spiral downwards into a very pessimistic, negative attitude. So I try not to do that. I try to focus on the good. I try to plan for the good. I try to kind of romanticize my life a little bit, because that helps me to stay positive and helps me to have a brighter outlook on things. There are definitely times when motherhood is hard. I know there's a lot of discourse and discussion online now saying that people need to be more realistic online and post the hard parts. I disagree with that, because I don't want to give those hard parts too much weight. I also don't ever want to embarrass my son, especially having an online platform. I don't ever want to embarrass him by putting something out on the internet that he could look back at in 5, 10, 15 years and cringe. So focus on the positive, focus on the good days, and try to put all your hard days behind you. Okay, so this next question is a really fun question. I'm so glad we're gonna be moving soon, because I won't be on this main road anymore. This is a very specific cleaning question. What should I use to clean and disinfect my sink? So a go-to that a lot of people like to use to clean and disinfect their sink is, of course, bleach. But bleach can be harmful to stainless steel. It can actually cause stainless steel to rust over time. So depending on what you need to disinfect your sink for, some people, they commonly disinfect their sink because they're getting ready to prep meat in their sink or wash chicken in their sink. Please do not wash your chicken in the sink. I've talked about this before over on Instagram and on TikTok, but I'm going to talk about it here about some food safety, which I do plan on doing a cleaning tutorial, nitty gritty, course eventually in the future whenever I have some free time, but I'll tell you guys a little bit here. So when it comes to washing chicken in the sink, which is a common reason why people like to disinfect their sink, is that actually spreads more salmonella in your kitchen. And I always explain this and people were like, well, I disinfect my sink, it shouldn't matter. What happens is it aerosolizes, I think I said that word correctly, aerosolizes the salmonella. So what happens is when you have running water and you're splashing water around, little water particles will pick up the salmonella and it'll stay in the air as water vapor. And then you're inhaling that, or it floats over to a kitchen cabinet on the other side of your kitchen. Next thing you know, your entire kitchen can be covered in salmonella. Now, the reason why so many people it's very ingrained in so many people's minds to wash chicken or wash meat is actually unfortunately due to racism. Now, way back in the day, people always say I'm crazy when I talk about this, and they don't like to hear it, but it is a hard truth. But way back in the day, before grocery stores, when you would have to go to the vegetable grocer or the fruit grocer or the butcher, many people would go to the butcher. Many people of color or low-income people, immigrants, they would go to the butcher, and those butchers, they would only sell the highest and freshest quality meat to their more affluent customers. And then the poorer populations would be stuck with rotting or off or not the best cuts of meat. So those populations that ended up with the spoiling meat, they would take it home, and to cover up the flavor and the bitterness and to get rid of the slime and the gunk of the rotting meat, they would scrub it off with vinegar, lemon, or lime juice and some salt. So that is the origin of why so many people today wash their meat. And you can find the practice of washing meat in indigenous populations, Black, Hispanic, Irish, Polish, you know, all those minority people who historically here in the United States at one time or another were oppressed in some fashion. And I know that's very hard to hear, but nowadays you don't have to do that anymore. Now, I know that practice of washing meat is very hard to let go of, so I recommend brining your meat. So how you brine your meat is to take a bowl and fill that up with cold water, and then add your lemon or lime juice and your little bit of salt or vinegar, and then put the meat in the bowl and let it soak there, and then you can gently wipe it off, not vigorously scrub, and definitely don't put the meat under running water, because running water is what the issue is when it comes to aerosolizing the salmonella. Now back to the question about how to disinfect your sink. Now you can use bleach, but once again, if your sink is made out of stainless steel, I don't recommend using that. It can harm the steel of your sink, as well as if you're not measuring it correctly, it goes down into the pipes. If you have a septic system, bleach is not good for your septic system, as well as bleach is not good for our Earth's waterways and, you know, fish and wildlife. Really, if you must disinfect your sink, bleach once in a blue moon, like say somebody got sick and all they could do was throw up in the sink, yeah, that's fine. But just hot water and soap is more than adequate for your sink, because really you shouldn't really be doing any food prep in your sink anyway. Another option is the Force of Nature cleaning system. Now that is safe to use on stainless steel. That is my favorite. I like to just mist everything down and let it dry, or let it sit for 10 minutes, and it fully cleans and disinfects. I know that was a very long answer to a very simple question. Okay, so this next question is, where do you see yourself as a homemaker in 20 years? So in 20 years, I will be 60 years old. My husband will also be 61, and Gabriel will be in his early 20s. And if we have other children, they will most likely be entering their early 20s or just graduating high school. So hopefully in 20 years, I will not be in this house, but be in the house that we are building, because I plan to die in that house. And I would like to see Gabriel, of course, me and Jack still be together, surrounded hopefully by family. And I would love to see Gabriel still living close by. Jack and I have always discussed like what we would like to see for our future children. He and I are on the same page with that. When a child turns 18, they don't automatically get kicked out of the house and they have to fend on their own. If Gabriel is still, you know, living life how he's supposed to be living, and he is starting a job, starting a career, we will support him in that. And I think I mentioned it before, we are trying to build an apartment in our basement of our new house for my parents. If my parents are still alive in 20 years, then yes, they'll still be in that basement. But if not, then that apartment will go to Gabriel or one of our other children. And we will fully support our children until they get married and are able to, you know, spread their wings and fly, as well as support them to be able to support themselves. So me personally in 20 years, I don't know, hopefully, maybe, who knows, I'll still be doing social media if social media is still a thing in 20 years, who knows. I just want to be flexible. I want to be here. I want to, you know, see my children grow and thrive. I want to grow old with my husband. I want to see a little bit more of the world. We're talking now about traveling again now that COVID is behind us and Gabriel is a little bit older. We would love to take him on international trips with us. We would love to, you know, just experience family time together and experience things together. We don't really want to accumulate material assets, but rather accumulate memories. So yeah, I think I would probably still be doing social media. If I have to go back to work and become an esthetician again, then so be it. That would be fun too. Yeah, so hopefully in 20 years I will be surrounded by children, maybe preparing to welcome in-law children into my life. Who knows? Only time will tell. Okay, this next question is, can you talk about your finance structure as a stay-at-home mom minus the influencer income? So yes, I can, just a little bit without going into too much deep personal detail. So our financial structure, my husband handles most of the finances. We discuss everything together, but he is the numbers guy. I don't have dyslexia or dyscalculia. I don't think I do, but I am not good with numbers at all whatsoever. So he takes lead with that, and I like follow up and double check everything just so that it can make sense for me. But my husband is the one who works full time. He is the one who generates the income. He has been at his company for over 10 years now that he is working at, so he is pretty firmly established in his career field, and his salary reflects that. And his salary, he is a salaried employee. He used to be an hourly employee when he worked as a mechanic, but now that he has gotten a little bit more advanced in his career, he took a step back from being on the front lines of mechanical work and now does planning work with the mechanics. He is salaried now. So that's a little bit more reliable. We have a 401k for him, pension, life insurance. I am also involved with that. And I have a separate bank account that is at a separate bank from the one we use together. That is only my own bank account. And that is where all of my influencer money goes. And I save a good portion of it, and then I divvy it up for where I want it to go. I'll transfer it to our family bank account, or I'll make purchases from that separate bank account for the household. As far as finances go as well, we have this home that we bought in 2017. So this is a financial investment. We have accrued equity in it, which we will be hopefully cashing out when we sell this house and moving everything right into our new house to, give us a little bit of a cushion there as well. We have 2 vehicles with only 1 car payment at this time. However, we are hoping, me and my husband are going to sit down and discuss things to see what bills we can pay off once we sell this house, and maybe we can pay off the last car payment. But yeah, as far as finances go, Jack and I work together. He takes the lead with the finances, but I am not in the dark at all whatsoever when it comes to finances. I have access to all of our bank accounts. I have my own separate bank account at a separate bank from our family bank account. That is where I put my influencer money. Off the tails of talking about finances, let's talk about how do you plan unique meals while sticking to a low grocery budget. So I primarily shop at Aldi. Now I know Aldi isn't available at many places around the country, but I love our Aldi. If you live near an Aldi, if you live within 30 minutes of an Aldi or a Lidl, I highly recommend you take the trip out there. It is definitely worth it. A friend of mine recently, she just posted that her family of 4, she was regularly spending over $350 a week on groceries at her local grocery store, but then she decided to go to Aldi, and for the same things that she purchased at her normal grocery store at Aldi was only $140. So you are saving big bucks at Aldi, so long as you're okay with not buying name brand things. In fact, many of the Aldi brand things I think are better than the name brand stuff that you find at the store. But to talk about staying creative with meals, I am on Pinterest all the time looking for new exciting things. I really like to scroll on Instagram and look at cooking videos, and I am at a point now with my own culinary journey that I can look at a recipe and I don't really need to read the ingredients or the instructions. I can see what's in it and I can just watch the video one time and throw it together on my own. So once you get to that point, so after consuming that much content, I can kind of like pick and choose, like, oh, I saw so-and-so post this chicken dish and that seems like it would go good with this pasta dish, or this pasta dish, the sauce that goes in it, it would complement some chicken. So consuming content like that and trying to like put the dots together to see what would go good with what is how I try and keep things very exciting and very different when it comes to cooking. Of course, we do have seasons where things are just very military style in our home. Like, for instance, if my husband is working a lot of overtime and I need to just not think about meals, we're doing really easy meals: spaghetti, tacos, chicken fajitas, pizza, things like that are really easy to throw together that I don't really have to think about. And it's mostly on the weekends that I try to be more exciting when it comes to food, because I have a little bit more time on the weekends, especially if my husband is off of work. He can just take Gabriel and they putz around and do whatever they want to do, and that's when I can just be in the kitchen and I can throw together, brown butter scallops risotto with caviar. That is something I did recently. or I can, you know, make hot dogs from scratch or bratwurst from scratch. So I dedicate the weekends every once in a while to trying something new, and if it is successful, if my husband really likes it, if Gabriel really likes it, if I really like it, then I will add it into a regular weekly rotation. So my biggest piece of advice is to definitely experiment with what you're comfortable with, and ever so slightly, you know, push those boundaries a little bit to see if you can make some new combinations that your family will love. These next two questions kind of go hand in hand. What is your son and your husband's favorite foods, or what type of foods do you like to cook the most? We are a red meat household. Like, I have not had chicken in this house for like 3 weeks. I need to go probably tomorrow to BJ's and buy a pack of chicken, because we have just been ground beef, steak, beef all the time. So we are a steak and potatoes household. I kind of formulate all my meals to have at least 3 things on the plate: a protein, vegetable, and a carb. So if it has that, then it meets all of my requirements. And I think the thing I probably cook the most, that is probably almost on the menu every single week, is spaghetti. And I have a really old video on how I cook my spaghetti dish here on my YouTube channel. I'll try to remember to link it up top, but yeah, that's just super easy. I can throw it all together, and Gabriel loves it, my husband loves it, I love it, and it's just a good comfort meal. Okay, and our last question: how long is the shelf life for beef tallow lotion? Also, are you going to restock soon? So this is pertaining to my beef tallow business that I have kind of started this year over on Etsy. So I am making beef tallow lotions. I absolutely love it. It's all I've been using. I use it every night. But yes, I do plan on restocking soon. I have all the supplies that I need to make a new batch, but with moving soon and with Gabriel, I just haven't had the time to like sit down and put it all together, package it, and, you know, get ready. So I am planning on restocking soon. It isn't going, my next restock is not going to be the, you know, regular facial lotion that I normally have. I am doing a healing balm, which is going to be a very big container. It'll have beeswax in it, lanolin, and calendula, as well as some lavender, and that's meant to be used on your hands, feet, knees, elbows. Going into, now that it's, you know, the end of summer, going into fall, winter, I'm thinking ahead of people who work with their hands and they need that extra moisture come those, you know, cold winter months. So I am planning on putting that together. The price point for that, I think I'm gonna have it around $25–30, because it's gonna be a big tub and there is a lot more that goes into it. So stay tuned for that. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me on this really quick Q&A video. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider liking and subscribing if you happen to like hearing me talk, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.